What it do, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of the Axis of Combat podcast. This is episode 72. Today, we're going to be breaking down two cards, one UFC, one boxing. For the UFC, we're going back to Vegas in the Apex. And for boxing, we're back in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. As always, it's your boy Ray Boogie Kahuna, a.k.a. Francisco Lindor's personal ball boy. My co-host.
Who the boys? Who we got next? Francisco Lindor's second personal ball boy.
Hey, pause.
And you see us with this Met spit and this Nick spit. You already know what it is. A lot of good news heading to New York these days, but you already know the deal. Like, comment, subscribe, follow Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
Everybody enjoying these visuals right now. Don't forget to like. Really helps the algorithm. Don't forget to subscribe. It's for free. Hit that notification bell to stay up to date and leave a comment when we want to hear back from you.
And for all of our audio listeners, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast, you already know.
First fight on the card at men's heavyweight. We have Beast Boy Chris Barnett going one-on-one with Junior the Juggernaut Tafa. Barnett, 23-8, fighting out of Tampa, Florida, 38 years old. Junior Tafa, he is 5-3 overall, fighting out of Australia, hailing from Australia, 28 years old. Well, we couldn't have an Apex card without, some low-level heavyweights. Welcome back. Off rip, I think Junior Tafa is going to be the pick here for me. I think he's the side here for me. Nothing against Beast Boy. I like Beast Boy. Entertaining guy, good on the mic, fun style, unorthodox shape. Weird body type for heavyweight. The only issue I have here, well, it's not just the only issue, but hasn't fought in 2 years. He's 38, which, is not the worst thing in heavyweight, being 38 years old, but the 2-year layoff, unless he presents any kind of wrestling threat to Tafa here, I think Tafa's the better striker. And, it's the size and reach is insane. I'm going to pick Tafa, and I'm picking him by KO. And in terms of betting, I don't know, fight don't go. Actually, yeah, fight don't go. What about you?
Yeah, I'm with you on this, and I want to shout out Beast Boy because I was in his highlight. He knocked out Gian Vellante in Madison Square Garden, and I was caught in between his flip, and then they go into the audience and then back into the octagon where he, was still on the floor, going crazy.
You're immortalized on UFC tape.
Yes, I am. That's because our section went crazy when that kick happened. I was with my homies that night. So thank you, Beast Boy. But unfortunately, the long layoff, the size difference. Maybe I wouldn't hate a dog play on him just because I feel like the line is a little out of hand at plus 280. He's plus 280 and Tafa's minus 355. But if you're asking me, Tafa is not gonna have to worry about the wrestling here. And that's usually how you neutralize the Tafa brothers. If you can wrestle them, you can beat them. And as the older brother said, Junior. No, actually, this is Junior. Who's the older one? Justin. You reach, I teach. And dude, these guys have pretty good all things said and done, they have pretty good counter boxing. They do. They throw really good kicks. They throw hard. They go to the body, and they have one punch knockout power. Beast Boy doesn't necessarily have that, and Beast Boy is not going to wrestle him.
And he doesn't have to worry about any submissions this fight, so he don't have to accidentally yell. And then, that wasn't a verbal submission,
Yeah. I don't get me started there with Junior. That was so stupid.
What a dummy.
But yeah, I just have a hard time seeing. I don't see there's always a world where Beast Boy could kick him in the head. I just don't see it happening. If I had to bet on it, I don't see it happening. I think Junior probably gets this done via TKO.
Next fight on the prelims at women's strawweight, we have Cory McKenna McKenna, bars, going one-on-one with Julia Psycho Polastri, my bad. McKenna, she is 8-3, fighting out of Sacramento, California, but repping Wales, 25 years old. Polastri, she is 12-4, fighting out of Brazil, hailing from Brazil, 26 years old. Good to see Cory McKenna back. I bet against her. Her last fight against Amarin. Was there a bit of controversy in that one? I don't recall.
No, that was the Amarin's last one.
Yes, where there was
with Demopolis, where she hooked the glove. She clearly hooked the glove. It was clear as day.
Hey, listen, you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. I ain't mad at it.
Reach, teach. Cheating, tried. We got some today. We're live, boys.
It's not like referees. referees fucking penalize for fence grabs and any bullshit like that anyway. You get like one free fence grab a fight.
Which is crazy.
It's a little annoying.
It's a little annoying. And then the fights where you actually bet, like in PFL with Sabatini, and the guy grabs.
Yeah, and then like...
oh, point taken. But that fight would have been a monster bet for us because he put a unit on that guy. Damn it.
What could have been.
Yeah.
Anyway, Cory McKenna, things I like about her. I think she got decent boxing. She's got the shortest reach, I think, in the women's division here. Also, they have her an inch taller than Polastri, which is also interesting. I would like to see them kind of face off because I don't believe that. I think Cory's small as hell. On the Polastri side, she's coming off I think it was a defeat. She lost
to Knudsen. No shame in that.
No shame in that. I actually think Polastri is a lot. I think she's underrated. I'm picking Polastri to win this fight. When it comes to the stand-up, I think McKenna might be more technical, but Polastri, she sits down on her fucking punches. I don't like that she takes her time. I feel like she's like a bit of a slow starter and a little bit low volume early, but once she gets into the rhythm, I think her striking is very good. I think she's going to be the harder hitter of the two girls here. She's no novice on the ground as well. If McKenna implores some wrestling here, she might have some early success, and it's probably the way she is going to win here. I don't think she's going to win a stand-up battle with Polastri. No offense to McKenna, she's been getting better. I just don't think McKenna hits as hard. I think Polastri looked better in her two losses against Knudsen and Jazdavicius. Give me Polastri here for the win. I'm going to say third round or decision.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Julia Polastri puts her punches together very well. Very aggressive. I agree with you. I think her last fight against Knudsen, she was patient, but it's because it's Knudsen. In the Contender Series, she kind of took her time the first round and then just... it was like a waterfall of just volume on this poor girl that she was fighting, who was actually putting up a decent fight.
Yeah, it was actually decent.
Yeah, and then just ran her over. Yeah. That's what happened. I agree with you with Polastri. I think this line is a little bit of a market correction. I also don't like Cory's inactivity. It's a little scary, especially like at this level. I'm going to lean Polastri, not with the highest degree of confidence, just because this is women's MMA and a lot of shit happens in women's MMA. But I tell you what, right now she's sitting at a minus 155. God, I wish she was a minus 130. I'd play her.
I feel like the lines, I think that's about correct. Yeah, maybe if it's a little closer to like 130, definitely a little more playable. I don't hate 150. I do think she's going to win this fight.
I agree. I just think she's the better fighter. Her scrambling ability is underrated. She has decent takedown defense. Like I said, you listen to Josephine Knudsen. Knudsen's elite.
Though that fight with Knudsen was closer than
correct than advertised.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. And that's the thing. If you're doing that to Knudsen, who I think is a top 15 fighter right now, I think she's gonna she might make light work of McKenna low key. Matter of fact, 150 might be playable. Give me Polastri. I'll say third round or decision as well.
Next fight on the card at men's bantamweight, we have the determined Dan Argueta going one-on-one with the debuting Cody Haddon. Argueta, 9-2 overall, fighting out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, 31 years old. Cody Haddon, 7-1, fighting out of Australia, hailing from Australia, 26 years old. I'll start on the Haddon side. He literally just fought on this year's Contender Series. I think it was like week 2. I'm kind of impressed with the kid. I'm not gonna lie to you. He's from Australia. If there's one fight you probably should watch, it's probably his loss against Steve Erceg. I think he's got decent boxing, good striking. His scramble ability on the ground is pretty good. I do have some issues with him in terms of the way he defends. He does kind of tend to give up his back a bit. Steve Erceg in that same fight that I'm talking about almost got him out in the first round, but he was squirmy, and to like be competitive that early, because he's only got 8 fights under his belt. Apparently he's been training since he was super young. I think he's very good. Now he trains with Erceg as well.
Now they're brothers.
Now they're pretty much brothers. You know, they bonded. You know. Dan Argueta hasn't had the best string of luck as of late. I know one of his fights he technically beat Miles Johns. No,
he lost to Miles Johns.
He lost to Miles Johns, but that fight got overturned because Miles Johns popped for CVS.
Then he beat the guy previous. What's his name?
He beat Ronnie Lawrence, who I think Ronnie was a little bit overrated.
I agree.
In my opinion, Ronnie I think ended up like I think, short. I think he's like on a hiatus / retirement thing. His last fight was against another debuting guy in Jing Matsumoto. And that was the first time he's been subbed. Now he's fighting another debuting guy here. I think Haddon is the side, but I do think Argueta is a bit live here for a sub. He does have the UFC experience. He is a relentless grappler. I do think Haddon will have enough scrambling ability to make this fight interesting. But, I mean, I don't think he's fought a wrestler with the amount of relentlessness as Argueta here. It's going to be a close fight. I do think Haddon's the side. I think if this fight does stay on the feet, Haddon probably could knock him out.
Correct.
I think that's how good his hands are. Maybe fight ends in sub. Argueta and Haddon, decent on the ground. I'm going to pick Haddon. I might consider a long shot bet, depending on the odds. Argueta sub. I do like fight ends in sub. I don't think this fight goes the distance.
After his last performance, I'm off the Argueta train. Because I feel like that was a fight where he could have exploited a lot of the deficiencies of his opponent. Don't get me wrong. The guy he was fighting was really good.
Yes, Matsumoto is very good.
Matsumoto is very good young contender. But Argueta just kind of gave away that fight. It's very difficult for me to trust anyone that has that kind of gas tank when they're wrestling. Especially if I know for sure that Haddon's going to wrestle into him even a bit. Haddon might lose the first round or two, but he might stop him in the third or win the second and then win the third. This is a 50-50 fight, but it's only 50-50 within the confines of the 3 rounds. If this is a 5-round fight, I think Haddon would beat the fuck out of him. I don't want to say it's a dog or pass spot. I'm with you. I think the only way you should play Argueta is for sub. I think that's the only way you should play him. Because
I don't think he wins the decision because he don't got the hands that this kid got.
He's not going to put damage on him.
And like I said, I think his only way to win is probably just a rear naked choke. But if he doesn't lock in that body lock, this kid, like his scrambles are good.
Correct.
He was giving Ursek fits.
Yeah, and listen, it says a lot when a UFC debutant is a -185 against a guy like Dan Argueta, who has been on the ride for a little while.
Yeah.
And he's not old.
So no, he's not. He's only like 30, so.
Yeah, it's just he's kind of been getting exposed. And if you've noticed, the game with strikers and grapplers has significantly come, like the level in terms of who can dictate where the fight goes from strikers and wrestlers has significantly declined. Look at all the other elite champions right now. Powhatan. I know he hasn't really been too tested with the wrestling, but his wrestling defense has gotten so much better. Stylebender, his wrestling defense was really good for a long time. Then the wrestling had to adjust, wrestler competitors had to adjust to try and figure out different ways to get him down. The only reason Dricus got him down in that fight is because Dricus is reckless and will create opportunities to get takedowns from weird angles and just fall on your leg. But back to this fight. Just so we stay on point, those are just examples of what I'm trying to say. I just feel like Haddon's the side. Haddon's the side because I feel like if you're grappling with Steve Ursek and you're getting out of certain positions with Steve Ursek, who I think has pretty good jiu-jitsu, really good wrestling too, really good wrestling defense, and you're able to put damage on Ursek too, who is a decent striker, even though he kind of got exposed by Kara a little bit for backing straight up. I think you got to lean Haddon here. I think Haddon gets him out of here. Give me Haddon ITD.
Next fight at men's featherweight, we have a grappler versus grappler fight, at least on paper. We got JSP, Jonathan Pearce, going one-on-one with Pat Sabatini. Pearce, 14-6, fighting out of Phoenix, Arizona, 32 years old. Sabatini, fighting out of Pennsylvania, 18-5 overall, 35 years old. Like I mentioned, grappler versus grappler. I am going to be leaning Jonathan Pearce. All biased aside, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Sabatini. I think he's a little
chinny, overrated.
Yeah. I think out of the two guys here, he's definitely the more cerebral of the two. I think he's probably the better control wrestler, and he'll definitely throw more subs up, and he's less likely to get caught in subs here, in my opinion.
Sabatini makes better decisions.
He does.
100%.
The issue with Sabatini, his stand-up is okay. He's got T-Rex arms. That doesn't help. And he's got no chin. That definitely doesn't help. Now, does he have to worry about that with JSP? Maybe. JSP, he's got the physicality edge here. He's going to be the bigger, taller, longer guy here. He's the more aggressive fighter. He is very scrambled. Like he's going to be the one that's going to be scrambling, maybe even to a detriment. This is another fight where I'm going to pick JSP to win because I think Sabatini doesn't handle both pressure and the fight being dirty. Pearce is the type of guy to make this fight dirty, make it nasty, make it wild. That being said, I think Sabatini is very live for a sub here as well.
Absolutely.
Because JSP he's reckless to a fault. He'll leave positions where Sabatini would 100% exploit.
Correct.
Just out in the open. He'll leave his neck out there. I think JSP got ninja choked by Brito after he was dominating Brito on the ground, and Brito was like, somebody was saying something in his corner, and Brito was like, yeah. And JSP was like, do something, boy. Do something. Literally 30 seconds later, he got him and just ninja choked his ass. The most hilarious exchange ever.
The meme. He got memed.
He got memed. But like, again, Pearce, he just does these things where he's just like, he's reckless to a fault. It works in a lot of ways. And this fight, there's definitely benefits to it. But Sabatini he's clean on the ground. I give him that. So I like fight probably ends in sub. I am going to pick JSP because if this fight goes the distance, JSP got more active hands, especially on the ground. His ground and pound is very active. And he's not one of these guys, he's just going to hold you. He'll hold you, but he's throwing elbows and he's throwing fists and throwing knees like constantly. He's constantly offensive. And that is going to present some danger for Sabatini, who, again, no chin, like literally no chin. So Sabatini definitely live for a sub, but I'm going to be picking JSP here. Don't know how I'm going to bet this fight in particular, though. What about you?
I'm on the dog here. I'm on Sabatini. And for a couple of reasons. And by the way, made a ton of money against him when he fought Diego Lopez.
Oh, easy.
Diego Lopez has made me so much money. and I don't know how you, like, I kept telling people too, minus 130. You go back to the podcast where he was fighting Sadiq Yusuf, and I said, I put 5 units on him. I max bet him because I knew I had a good idea what was going to happen in that fight. But different opponent, different day. I think JSP after the Onama fight, I want nothing to do with him. And I know that's a terrible thing to say, but that was an exploitable matchup for him. And he let it slip through his fingers because he made dumbass decisions.
Yeah.
He gave up positions on the floor to Onama, who's not a fucking wrestler. Onama was able to get him in bad positions and land damage. Sabatini has gone against lethal strikers and has been able to get them to the floor and ground them, control them with the wrestling, make smart decisions, keep the jiu-jitsu very tight because he comes out of that Philly Death Squad crew over there with Sean Brady and
Joe Pyfer.
Yeah. You know, there's one thing those guys can all do. It is grapple and wrestle. I do not take that away from them. And they're pretty physically strong. Sabatini is pretty jacked for the weight class, even though he's small. I do think he's going to win positions over here on JSP. I think he's going to be able to navigate some of the wild striking that he throws up because he's not necessarily the cleanest striker. I just worry about his chin, but I'm probably going to play Sabatini by sub here. I think this is the perfect fade spot for Jonathan Pearce. I think this is a bad matchup for Pearce on the ground. I don't think he's going to win positions like Sabatini on the ground. And even if he does in the first round, I don't think he's going to be able to do it for the rest of the fight. The second and third round are going to be rough and tough sledding for him. Second, third round sub, I'll say, for Sabatini.
My only pause with Sabatini, because I do think Sabatini's sub is live. 100%. It's just because JSP is just reckless, right? But I don't know how he's going to handle JSP's physicality.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be the bigger dude. I don't know if Sabatini's going to be able to like get the positions he wants.
Yeah, because he's done it. Yeah, for me, I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
but you got to also look at like the competition. He's done it against guys that are strikers, and then the guys who are wrestlers have they've had better times with JSP. I just think JSP just doesn't wow me, man. And you know, when you're giving away fights to Onama when it was clear there's the path that you should go, he gets too high on his back, gets thrown over. I mean,
and he was beating up Brito until he wasn't. Yeah,
I think Sabatini,
maybe he is.
I think Sabatini's the better wrestler.
Yeah,
I really do.
No, he is.
I think he's gonna be able to control positions. He's not going to get high on this guy's back. He's going to find submissions. He's going to make him work, and he's going to win minutes. That's where I'm at with Sabatini here. I think Sabatini is live as hell. And matter of fact, I say it live here. He's probably going to get a unit for me. I like him at his odds right now. He's like a plus 130. Give me Sabatini. Probably by sub.
Next fight on the card at men's flyweight, we have CJ Vergara going one-on-one with the debuting. Let me get this name right. Ramazanbek Timirov. Fucking nailed it.
I'm going to defer to you here because I I did not have a lot of time to do homework on this gentleman because we have a ton of fights to go over this weekend. So we kind of divided and conquered, ladies and gentlemen. So my brother's going to take this one away.
Yeah, my breakdown for this one is not that crazy. Vergara, 12-5-1 overall, fighting out of San Antonio, Texas, 33 years old. Tamirov, 17-2, fighting out of Uzbekistan, repping Uzbekistan, 27 years old. I'm going to start with the debutant, Tamirov. Interesting that he's not going through the Contender Series. He's coming straight out of Rising, straight into the UFC. Fast hands, powerful striker, quick, decent with his spacing, good takedown defense, good sprawling. They got him lined up here against Vergara, who I think Vergara's boxing is actually pretty solid as well. Historically, he's got a good chin. He hasn't been knocked out in the UFC. He did get rocked by Lacerda. I do like I said, I do like CJ. I think he's a talented guy. He's not the most athletically gifted guy. I also think his hand speed is, a little subpar mediocre for the division.
Especially for his size. You would think he has fast hands for someone as small as him.
Yes. I mean, but he is a dog.
Very dog.
And he's got he's got cardio. He's not going to get tired. I just think this Tamirov cat coming out of Uzbekistan, you would think, I haven't really seen too much of his grappling. It looks like he's got some, but he doesn't go to it. This is going to be a primarily on the feet fight, which favors Vergara, to be honest, but back and forth. I'm going to lean the new guy. I'm going to lean Tamirov. I just think fast hands, the way he's able to move around, and if Vergara wanted to grapple, I think he might have a hard time getting to him. Give me Tamirov for the win here. Does this go to distance? Tough. I'm a little 50-50 on that. I'm just gonna pick Tamirov to win. I guess if there's anything juicy in terms of props that sticks out, might get a bet for me, but I don't know how I'm gonna attack this one in particular, to be honest. But Tamirov, even though he's debuting, I think he's the side.
Copy.
Next fight on the card at men's flyweight, we have the returning Clayton Carpenter going one-on-one with the debuting Lucas Rocha. Or Hoch, I think. How do you say his name?
Rocha.
I think that's how you say it. Rocha. His nickname is Fenomeno. Somebody else got the Fenomeno nickname. I forgot.
It's another Brazilian, I think so.
Yeah, it is another Brazilian. Clayton Carpenter, perfect. 7-0, fighting out of Arizona, 28 years old. Rocha, 17-1, fighting out of Brazil, hailing from Brazil, 24 years old. Both guys coming off the Contender Series. Clayton Carpenter's got one win already in the UFC. He debuted against Ronderos, who I think is
low ass,
a bit of a bum.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna throw it out there. His Contender Series fight was actually better and actually more competitive. That was against Edgar Chairez,
who's all dog, and you can argue maybe he didn't win that fight. I don't know. I thought Chairez was getting off more damage in that fight personally, but that's neither here or there. He won. He made it into UFC. I don't think he's fought in a while. It's been about a year and change. Lucas Rocha, also coming off the Contender Series. And I think he's coming off of this year's Contender Series, if I'm not mistaken. No, he's coming off of last year's Contender Series. He fought a guy named Davy Bittencourt, who I was more impressed with that guy, low-key. He wrestled and grappled the shit out of Lucas for a minute. To Lucas's credit, though, hard to hold down, great scrambling ability, and then he ended up knocking him out with a fucking beautifully timed knee. I'm going to lean Rocha here. Rocha. And I just think, even though he's debuting, I'm leaning the guys who are debuting a lot, by the way. Yeah.
Interesting enough, but
they're going against some of the bottom of the barrel guys in the UFC too. So
for me, Carpenter is good. I feel like he's still lacking. He's a little. For me, if you look at both these guys, he feels like the more raw talent to me,
which is hilarious. Yeah.
Even though Rocha is making his debut, he's got twice as many fights. You can tell he looks like the more polished fighter, in my opinion. Carpenter's only way to win here is to implore the grappling and get in the what do you call that, the body lock as soon as possible.
Correct.
Because if you don't body lock this guy, he will out scramble. He's squirmy as fuck on the ground.
Correct.
And on the feet, I think Rocha is the better striker. Give me Rocha here to win his debut fight against Carpenter in a fight that's going to be pretty close. Haven't really decided a method of victory here as well, but I am leaning Rocha here for the win.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I'm with you for the predominant fact that the only Carpenter I fuck with on Halloween and October month is John Carpenter. And that's it. You know what I'm saying? I'm with you. I'm not very impressed at all with Clayton's game. I agree with you of him being the more raw talent. He beat one guy in the UFC. Is that guy even still in the UFC? Let's just put that out there. He hasn't fought since, if I'm correct.
No.
Yeah, this is a dog or pass shot here. But I believe Rocha is the dog in this fight, and I'm all over him. I don't know if I'm going to play it because I don't like betting debut fighters as well as low-level MMA, to be honest. But if you had to play it, the pick here is Rocha.
Next fight on the card at men's welterweight, we have Chidi Bang Bang, Chidi Njokuani going one-on-one with the Night Train, Jared Gooden. And those are two cool nicknames back to back.
There's a boxer named the Night Train too. Some English boxer, yeah. Some guy, he fought one of the guys that we're going to talk about later, but we'll talk about that, yeah.
Njokuani, 23-10, fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, 35 years old. Jared Night Train Gooden, 23-9, fighting out of Georgia, of the sweet old US of A, 30 years old. Good fight on paper, and I think this is going to be a good... I don't think this fight's going to go the distance. Njokuani trying to find his footing. He's moving down in weight.
He actually looked good his last fight.
His last fight was against Reese McKee, where...
That was an easy fade.
I thought that was like...
that was barbecue chicken.
Just a side note, the hype on Reese McKee...
I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't see it.
I don't see it.
I really don't. Even though, like, he almost kind of... Like, that third round was a little sketchy.
Oh, yeah, they gave it a split decision that fight, right?
I think...
Complete horseshit.
Yeah, it was split.
And it was not split. It was Reese getting split the fuck open by Chidi. Chidi beat the fuck out of him.
Chidi didn't... The rightful guy won. Yes. Chidi won that fight. This is Chidi's second fight. You know, he's trying to, I guess, find a second life.
Reestablish a new home.
Yes, in the welterweight division.
Yes.
Speaking of reestablishing himself, this is Jared Gooden's second stint in the UFC. First stint didn't really go too well. This time around, his last fight against Thurman Wellington? What's that guy's fucking name? Wellington Thurman. I just reversed the name.
No, yeah, he has two first names.
Yeah,
for sure.
That fight, that was probably the most impressive I think I've ever. That's the most impressed I think I've ever been with Jared Gooden.
We actually picked him in that fight, if I'm correct. Yeah. He's a dog.
Nobody ever denies Night Train striking, but it was the grappling that, or just the way he mixed it in against Thurman. He kind of just showed a complete game. Chidi, decent takedown defense, but I mean, he's not, what's it? I was gonna say impenetrable. Pause. What's the word I'm looking for?
Takedown defense is not,
he is susceptible. He can be taken down.
Okay, that's a good word.
But I think, I think this fight for the most part is going to take place on the feet. And that's where this fight this is why I think this fight just doesn't go the distance.
I love this fight.
Night Train clips. In Chidi, Njokuani, you see he's got the kickboxing background. That's all he wants to do. He bangs.
Chidi, bang, bang.
He bangs. You know what I'm saying?
Pause.
I'm going to lean. This is tough because I would probably give Njokuani the striking edge only because Gooden, not the best defensively. He relies on head movement and doesn't really pick his hands up. But I do think Gooden with the grappling edge here.
If he goes to it.
I mean, he did go to it last fight. Not with the most confidence. I am going to lead Jared Gooden. And that hurts because I'm a fan of Chidi. But I think Gooden, if he does what he did last fight, should get this one done. But in terms of betting, a fight doesn't go unders. I like all of that.
So for me, I'm on the opposite side here. I know you took the dog and Gooden. I'm on Chidi here. I think Chidi's gonna knock him out.
Yeah.
I think Jared plays too much on the feet. Jared's too low volume, and you gotta hope that he goes to the wrestling. We only have a small sample size of him doing that. And I remember, so I think, was it Wellington kind of trying to engage in those exchanges too?
I don't remember.
I feel like he was.
I would have to rewatch that fight.
And I feel like Jared kind of went after it. Yeah, I'll rewatch it too. I don't want to speak too much on it, but Jared is not known as a guy who predominantly goes to his wrestling. If I could trust him to go to his wrestling actively, I think he wins this fight, like you said, easily. But yeah. I have a hunch he's going to try and Bobby Green this shit, as he usually does, hands down. And I think this is going to be a war.
It's scary.
I think Chidi is the bigger puncher. I think Chidi can knock him out with one shot. I'm not sure Jared can knock him out with one shot.
This is one of these, I'm here for a good time. I'm not here for a long time. And I think the fight's going to live up to that moniker for sure.
I'm going to lean Chidi. I agree with you. I'm going to lean Chidi, but I like the violence plays in this spot more than everything. I don't like, this fight can go so many different ways. But if you're asking me, I'm gonna lean Chidi.
Next fight on the card at men's welterweight, we have Niko the Hybrid Price going one-on-one with Themba the Answer Gorimbo.
There's only one answer. It's Allen Iverson.
Who's the answer? Allen. AI, baby. Niko Price, 16-7 overall, fighting out of Cape Coral, Florida, 35 years old. Themba the Answer Gorimbo, 13-4 overall, fighting out of Zimbabwe, hailing from Zimbabwe, 33 years old. It's a setup fight for Gorimbo. They're really trying to, nothing against Gorimbo. I think Gorimbo's a decent fighter, but they're really I guess kids gloves, I guess is the right word, or maybe it's the wrong phrase. I'm not too sure. They're really giving Gorimbo some winnable fights here, in my opinion.
I agree.
This is a winnable fight for Gorimbo. Niko Price, maybe 5 years ago, definitely a tougher fight, but Niko just hasn't been the same. He's older. He's got a lack of chin. He's visibly slower in there as well.
Once he got those double knee surgeries, that was it. Like it took such a toll on him. You could tell.
It's tough. It's tough to see Niko where he's at now compared to what he used to be.
Yeah.
I think Gorimbo wins this fight. Does Gorimbo get it done inside the distance? He probably should, but I got a feeling this fight might go 3 rounds, and that's going to be ugly as fuck if it does. But give me Gorimbo. I think Gorimbo's the side. Gorimbo's got very good grappling, and he hits hard. He should have enough here to get Niko out. Niko, unfortunately, again,
past his prime.
Way past his prime. And I'm going to say Gorimbo should get this done inside the distance. In terms of betting, Niko, I don't want to say Gorimbo's first of all, I don't believe in locks. You know, I don't believe in absolutes. I don't think Gorimbo's a lock. He's pretty much close to a lock, but Niko Price is the type of guy to like really
make it dirty.
And I could see some fuckery. This fight stinks just a bit. So I wouldn't 100% lock in Gorimbo as a super lock or anything like that, but Gorimbo's the side for me. I just don't know how I'm going to bet this fight, if I even want to touch this fight.
Yeah, I'm with you on Gorimbo. And by the way, we made a mistake earlier. It's not only Allen Iverson, it's also, it's an MMA podcast, so we got to do better. Frankie Yeager.
That's
the
right.
answer.
Oh, damn, we fucked up.
Yeah, we fucked up there. So let's one.
Let's walk that back.
Gorimbo is not the answer. He's riding the hype train of The Rock buying him a house. And no, by the way, I'm not even hating on that. Good for you. Good for you.
I want The Rock to buy me a fucking house.
100%. But I feel like his post-fight interview where he talked about, his post-fight is pushing him to the moon here.
Listen,
a little bit.
He's a genuinely good dude.
I agree.
And I think he, he seems like a genuinely good dude. And, he's definitely for his people. He's definitely trying to, bring back to his own community in Zimbabwe. And really, he's definitely a feel-good story. I think he's a genuine article. I mean, I don't like to say that about people unless I really meet them. But, he hasn't really given me a reason to not like the guy. You know what I'm saying?
Correct. We're just critical of his skill. And at this level, like, there's a lot of guys where we know we're gonna take some shots. Is this the week? No.
Probably not.
I think this is a kid's glove fight for Gorimbo. This is one he should win. And if he loses this fight, I think the UFC is gonna have some real reconsiderations on how they're pushing him.
Well, maybe. It depends. I mean,
there's a guy he should pack up, dude.
I wouldn't rule out like Niko ITD if it looks like a stupid crazy number. But you're right. For the most part, I'm like 100% on board with you. It's Gorimbo. Gorimbo should like really get this done.
100%.
Next fight on the card, and this is at men's welterweight. We have Daniel D-Rod Rodriguez going one-on-one with the great white Alex Morono. Rodriguez is 17-5 overall, fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, 37 years old. Morono is 24-10. fighting out of Houston, Texas, 34 years old. I don't know which side I want to start with on this particular fight. I think I'll start with the D-Rod side. I think this is a bit of a thank you. Not thank you, but a bit of a makeup fight. Like UFC trying to do D-Rod a bit of a favor here because of his last fight where Kevin Gastelum just completely fucked him. Gastelum missed weight on purpose and, proceeded to make that fight for Rodriguez as difficult to accept as possible. But Rodriguez, the company man, took the fight, lost. But the UFC took care of him with an extension, a little extra, cheese on the side. And I think this fight is probably part of the package as well. I think if this fight stays standing, I think he pieces up Morono. I think he's just the better boxer. Morono, he has the better jiu-jitsu. If I could trust him to do anything, he would probably be the side.
Correct.
But I can't trust the guy. I don't trust him to take him down. I don't trust him to wrestle. I do trust him to go in there and try to stand and bang with D-Rod. D-Rod don't really got the greatest chin either.
As of late.
Yeah,
which sucks.
Which is unfortunate. I think D-Rod, if he, plays the distance game,
I think he pieces
the
him
footwork.
up.
I think he just pieces him up for 15 minutes. He probably could get him out if he catches him good. Give me D-Rod here to win. I just don't trust Morono. Morono's last fight, he should have got Niko Price out. We just spoke about Niko Price not too long ago. Niko Price shouldn't have won that fight. Yeah. He shouldn't have. He made that fight way sweatier than it needed to be.
I mean, Alex Morono makes every fight way sweatier than it needs to be, right?
It's unfortunate.
That's him. And he's uber talented, which is hilarious.
I think he's got more of a tool set here between the two fighters, and he just, I don't know. Morono's just a kind of a hard guy for me to kind of like figure out and pin down in terms of like how to describe like anything about him. And
then how to play him is even more difficult.
Yes, and if you're trying to bet the guy, I mean, good luck. You're better off pulling out your hair.
Yeah, you're better at betting him at dog money, which he is in this fight. I just think D-Rod's fought the way better brand of competition, man. Outside of Santiago Ponzinibbio and Anthony Pettis, who else has Morono fought? Chaos Williams, where's he been? I haven't really been too impressive Morono. I feel like over the years he's become more low volume, more bad shit.
Yeah, I feel like he's almost like regressing.
He's regressing, which is
weird because I mean, what's the age difference here? I mean, he's 34.
And D-Rod is 37.
Yeah.
That's the only alarming thing about this fight. This fight, to me, is a big stay away.
It's a bit of it smells a bit because Morono, his last two wins were against, Court McGee and Tim Means, two old guys.
Correct.
But he also lost to two wash guys. I mean, I wouldn't say Pons is washed, but Pons is definitely a little past his prime. Niko completely washed.
Yeah.
And then Joaquin Buckley did what he needed to do against Morono. So, I mean.
Yeah, that's why Joaquin's fighting Wonder Boy.
Yes.
Well, fought Wonder Boy at this point. So,
yes, he fought Wonder Boy.
Yes.
But that's why I'm leaning D-Rod here. You're right. Better brand of comp. I still think this is a, hey, sorry from the UFC. Here's a fight. And hopefully Morono just don't turn back the clock and become, young, smart Morono. I mean, Morono, just stay what you're doing, Morono, and just let D-Rod do what he got to do. Mm-hmm. Let him lay him down slow.
Agreed.
Next fight on the card, at men's middleweight, we have Josh Fremd going one-on-one with Abdul, Razak, Alhassan, the Judo Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
Fremd, 11-6, fighting out of Inglewood, Colorado, 30 years old. Alhassan, fighting out of Arlington, Texas, repping Ghana, 12-6 overall, 39 years old. This is another fight. First of all, I mean, where they got it listed, I wonder if they're going to move this down. I don't think this should be on the main card.
Absolutely not.
Two guys who are, they have some question marks, to say the least. I'm not the biggest fan of Josh Fremd. I don't think he's that good. I am a little higher on Alhassan. I think he's better. The issue I have with Judo Thunder in particular is that he does not use his judo at all. He's got fast hands, explosive.
Built like a shithouse.
Built like a brick shithouse, and he will lay shit on you.
Yes.
Kind of got fucked out of his last fight because, of course, he had the unfortunate circumstances of fighting Cody Brundage. And of course, he was whooping Cody Brundage's ass. Referee stopped the fight or put a pause to the fight because of illegal elbows to the back of the head, which, I mean, yeah, 1 or 2 did land. I give the referee credit for enforcing the job that, you know, he's supposed to do. But Cody, as soon as he heard that, man, he put on his best and Denzel Washington acting shoes, and he was like, I can't continue. I can't do it. Alhassan gave him the door. My man went running right out of it. Kind of got fucked. He was going to win that fight. Fremd, again, not too impressed with the guy. Like, his best win in the UFC is fucking against Cedric Dumas, in my opinion, because I don't rate Jamie Pickett that good at all either. I just think Josh Fremd is not that good. But that being said, he's probably live for a sub here. I don't.
You look like you felt nasty saying that.
Oh man, my stomach started turning as I said that. If Alhassan doesn't, get him out, because I think he can get him out. This fight starts to get extended a bit. Fremd starts to implement wrestling, which he is capable of doing. He doesn't do it in many of his fights. He did do it in the Dumas fight, where he was able to get hit. I think that's his only finish in the UFC. It is.
Yeah, he wouldn't do that to Dumas again.
No.
Especially with Dumas's improvements.
I'm picking Alhassan here. I think Alhassan should get him out in under half a round. He's just fought better guys. His fight against Joaquin Buckley, I love that fight. Underrated fight, doesn't get talked about enough.
I feel like he's going to wind up bringing up Joaquin Buckley in his post-fight or his pre-fight.
Those guys are like,
he's a bitch. He's a bitch.
They're like mortal enemies, those guys.
Buckley just rubs mad people the wrong way. Kevin Holland don't like him either.
Yeah, Kevin Holland don't like him.
And Kevin Holland last week was talking about how they're not in the same hotel.
Well,
because they're afraid to run into each other.
Joaquin does this, I think he knows what he needs to do to like promote himself.
He's fantastic.
And he's willing to rub the wrong elbows. Like he's definitely taking some pages out of like McGregor's book. He's just popping off. He doesn't give a shit. He's gonna talk the shit. He's just been on a roll lately. Like I'm a fan of everything Joaquin Buckley, especially what he's been doing lately.
I agree.
That being said, Alhassan, I mean, we're gonna get a good presser from Alhassan. If this stays on the main card, I mean, actually no, because it's a Vegas card, so there's gonna be no presser. But
and it's gonna be a prelim.
Some interviews.
I don't see this being on the main card.
He's gonna be popping off. I like Razak. I'm 100% on the Razak side.
I think he'd knock him out.
Razak should get him out. Razak could even win a decision here.
Correct.
Because I think his cardio issues, I don't think he's really got cardio issues. Like, I think he's got decent cardio.
Yeah.
For how as brolic as he is.
Well, he's low volume too.
But he is low volume.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And he is going to be giving up height and reach to Fremd here, you know.
I just feel like wherever he catches Fremd, even if he catches Fremd in the clinch, if he catches him on the chin, he's going to flush him out.
I just want to lean. I'm going to lean the more explosive athlete with the power edge and the upside
over the guy who's probably the lankier, more skilled guy, but no chin and no fight IQ.
Yeah, and probably is going to get a sub.
Yeah, you bet him sub, and I think you bet Alhassan knockout or decision.
Yeah,
that's how I would play it.
Next fight on the card at men's lightweight, we have KGD Grant Dawson going one-on-one with gifted Rafa Garcia. Dawson, 21-2-1. Fighting out of Coconut Creek, Florida, 30 years old. Rafa, gifted Garcia, is 16-3. Fighting out of Mexico, hailing from Mexico, 30 years old. Interesting fight on paper. Stylistically, I think, listen, we know what Dawson wants to do, right?
Wants to hug.
He wants to cue the Barry Manilow. He wants to make sexy time. He wants to make this. He wants to dry hump. He wants to take you down and massage you up and grab a neck. Pause. That's what Grant wants to do. Rafa is an interesting character. I'm kind of higher on Rafa than a lot of people.
Me too.
Rafa has got decent takedown defense. He's going to be the shorter guy here, and he's given up, I think, height and reach, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. 5'10 to 5'7, 72 to 70. He's going to be the smaller guy here. Rafa also hasn't fought in a bit. His last fight was against Clay Guida. That was about a year ago and change. Rafa is interesting because he's landed except with the exception of the Guida fight and I think his debut fight, he's landed over 3 takedowns plus. Not afraid to grapple. I don't think he's ever been submitted as well. Both guys never been submitted.
Grant Dawson by decision.
He could offer Grant Dawson some difficulty here, or definitely some resistance, because chin a little suspect. I'm not really impressed with the guys he's really fought as well. People who have given him issues are people who can grapple. His resume, I don't want to say it's fugazi, but it's I'm not impressed with your son. You got to show me a little more.
Oh, I gotta...
Not that Rafa Garcia, his loss against Nasrat and his loss against Dakar Close, those are 2 really good guys, in my opinion. The Gutzmacher loss, not so much. But I think what I'm trying to get around, because I'm still processing how this fight looks, I think Dawson is the side, unfortunately, and it's probably going to go to decision because I don't think he's going to ground and pound him. He's too much of a control wrestler. And I think Rafa is good enough on the ground to not get submitted.
Yeah, you're just not impressed with his resume.
I'm not impressed with his resume.
I'm not impressed by your performance.
I'm not impressed with any of his performances. Maybe I'm reaching here. I'm looking for a way to get to Rafa as a dog. Because I think in the stand-up, I think Rafa's got him. And if he can stuff a couple takedowns and make this fight a little more difficult on the ground than it needs to be, this fight's going to go to distance. I like the overs. I feel like Rafa, from a betting perspective, I'm going to think about this one a little more. I think he might be a little bit of a dog. He might be. I don't know if it's just because I'm just trying to fade Dawson, because I'm not impressed with him. Maybe. Do tell me, am I speaking from a biased point of view? I might be, but
you are.
I might be.
You are. I'm not a big fan of him either, but I have a hard time believing that Rafa's going to be able to deal with his physicality. Grant's pretty big for the weight class. He was able to get Joe Selecki's back many, many times in their fight.
I also think Joe Selecki's not that good either.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I just don't know how Rafa is going to be able to get Grant from not taking his back. I have a hard time believing he's not going to get to that position.
And the thing is, Rafa does give up his back. I mean, he gave up his back a couple times at the car. I mean, you're right.
It's the same reason I picked Brendan Allen a couple of weekends ago. And listen, it might be the same situation, but I don't think so, because I think Grant makes better decisions than Brendan Allen. But I told you guys, could Brendan get him to the floor and control him? And he did in the first round and then just fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
That's what happened. But if he had a better game plan on how to get to the body lock and get him down, I think Brendan wins that fight 9 times out of 10. It's just that one where you saw that weekend. Now with this fight, I have the same issues, not believing how Grant's not going to get to his back. Rafa, not the biggest puncher.
He's not.
And Bobby is not the biggest puncher either. Bobby's just a laser beam puncher.
Also, I get
what you're saying about his chin, off of that observation, but Rafa doesn't have that kind of precision. Bobby caught him in between swinging and kind of caught him right on the chin and ran the pipe. Plus, Bobby was also extremely active and sharp at the beginning of that fight. Rafa hasn't fought in a year, and he's going against a bigger, I'd say better wrestler and grappler, and a guy who's going to sell out for the takedown.
100%.
I love Grant Dawson here. I think Grant Dawson's probably going to get this done by decision.
I don't love him.
No, I love Grant Dawson in the spot. I don't love him either. I think he's ass.
I think
all that Islam Makhachev talk, Islam would work him like a hot summer day in Dagestan. With the bears in the mountains and shit.
I'm gonna cross my T's and dot my I's here again. I'm gonna probably do a little more footage. I just need a reason to bet Garcia. I think Garcia is just, I don't know, it's just underrated, man. I'm a fan of the guy, you know.
Yeah, I like him too. I'm just honest with what I'm watching.
You're not wrong.
That's all.
Next fight on the card at men's middleweight, we have a fight that should have took place 2 months ago, but now they're doing the thing. And as currently constituted, I think this is the co-main event of this card.
I like it.
It is. It was actually the co-main event of the other card as well.
Correct.
Brad Tavares going one-on-one with Jung Young Park, the Iron Turtle. Tavares, 20-9, fighting out of Las Vegas, 36 years old. The Iron Turtle, 17-6, fighting out of South Korea, hailing from South Korea, 33 years old. We broke this fight down about 10 episodes ago, episode 62. If you guys want to check it out and give us a like if you already haven't. But
this is going to be nice and short, FYI.
100%. The thoughts, I mean,
are the same.
Are identically the same. I mean, the long sweet of it, the long short of it. Tavares gets beat by better strikers, and the Turtle gets beat by better grapplers. If I can trust Tavares to get to his wrestling here, he'd beat aside. I don't trust him to get to his wrestling here. I think Iron Turtle is the better striker, underrated striker. I trust his IQ a bit more.
Better chain wrestler too, by the way.
And,
I'll go that far.
And he's got better chain wrestling. And I just, everything about Turtle is just, I think he's just an underrated fighter in general.
Yeah.
I don't know who the dog is in this fight. I'm assuming
it's Brad, plus 142.
Brad. And what's the comeback?
Minus 170.
I don't hate that. I might bet
him straight.
I like the Iron Turtle here to win. Does he get it done? I mean, Tavares.
I don't think he's finishing him. I think this fight's going all the way.
I think the money line is probably safer. Give me the Iron Turtle to win, and he's gonna use his underrated hands to get the job done.
Yes, underrated boxing, underrated pressure. He does a lot of good things, and he doesn't get talked about enough. I like I love Jung Park here at minus 170. I might take him straight. I might put 2 units on it straight. Please tune into all of our social media platforms to confirm that, but we'll see how high I go with this. But I love this spot for him. I just don't think Brad is high volume. I think Brad's going to fight off his back foot. I don't think Brad's going to offensively wrestle. I know Park is going to offensively wrestle. I know he's going to pressure. I know he's going to cage push. I know he's going to box. And I don't trust Brad's finishing ability here. If I could trust him to finish him with one good shot, sure. Jung Park doesn't really get hit that clean unless it's against big gorillas, which Brad is, but Brad is just not that guy. I just think Brad, one thing I will count on for Brad is his durability and his ability not to get finished, which is why I love Jung Park by decision in this fight. But I love the money line to him. I think this is a playable spot on the money line. I don't like, we don't play minus 170 in this podcast typically. We like laying maybe minus 150.
Yeah, I feel like the line's a bit juiced. I think 150 is probably perfect for this fight, but
perfect. But
at least for why I don't want to bet it, but
yeah. But the only thing that gives me a little bit of alarm is that Park did pull off this fight for some health concerns 2 months ago. So I want to probably see how it looks on the scale, but I also want to don't want to pitter patter with this line because I feel like it's going to get smashed.
I'm also worried about just one thing on the Brad side. I mean, he does throw some decent leg kicks.
Correct.
And Iron Turtle hasn't really shown the greatest track record against defending those kind of kicks.
Correct. But what I will say too, best way to mitigate a lot of those leg kicks, which Chris Weidman's old ass was able to do, pressure. If you're pressuring Brad, which Park is going to do, I think this is you have to bet on Park to lose this fight. Like if you're going to pick Brad, you got to hope for that. And I don't see it. Give me Park by decision.
Next fight on this card at flyweight and is the main event, and this feels like a title contender, number 1 contender fight.
Great fight.
Good fight. As the main event, we have Raw Dog Brandon Royval going one-on-one with the rising sensation, no nickname, Tatsuro Taira. Royval, 16-7, fighting out of Colorado, 32 years old. Taira, 16-0, perfect. Fighting out of Japan, hailing from Japan, 24 years old. This is going to be a great 5-round main event. Even if I don't think it's going to go 5 rounds. I don't know if it's a hot take. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Maybe it's a popular take. Not too sure. I'm going to pick Taira here. I don't know where you're leaning. Don't spoil me yet. But I'm going to lean Taira for a couple reasons. One, Royval can just be taken down at will. That's Taira's strength. I've been learning the hard way lately. Man, if you're the better grappler, just go with the better grappler. I love Royval. I love his striking. I love his attitude. I love his energy.
Nickname.
I love the Raw Dog.
That's hilarious.
I love to Raw Dog.
Oh my God.
But I think Taira's grappling, on top of the fact that he's younger, on top of the fact that I think his striking is underrated. He's probably not going to be the quickest guy in there with hand speed, but I think
he might be the bigger puncher.
He's probably going to have the power edge here, and I think he's going to be the cleaner striker in terms of I feel like he's a little more technical. He's a little more meat and potatoes with his striking, but I think it's more than serviceable. Give me Taira here, and give me Taira by sub. Fuck it. I say inside the distance is probably a better bet because, Royval's squirmy.
Royval puts himself in bad positions, though.
But he does put himself in bad positions. So that's why the only reason I'm leaning sub. So give me Taira by sub.
Yeah, I think I'm not the highest on Taira, but I feel like this is a matchup that he can exploit. I feel like the UFC's trying to push this kid, to be frank. I think he's the better wrestler. I think he's going to be able to hold down Brendan Royval in certain positions, even though Royval is going to scramble. But I think Royval is going to wind up giving him a bad position, and then Taira's going to wind up choking him out. That's what I think is going to happen.
Nothing against Royval. I mean, he's coming off a great win off of Morono.
Yeah, he got that leg back, yeah.
Where I thought Morono was going to win that fight, but Morono, I mean...
He took time off after the fight, man.
He took time off, and I think it's because, maybe a bit of the Izzy effect. Just a bit of burnout.
Yeah.
Not that Royval couldn't win that fight. I'm not trying to take anything away from Royval. That was a hell of a performance.
Royval did in that fight what he was supposed to do against Pantoja, which was put out a ton of volume and make him work.
Yes.
Royval did that against Morono, but then I also have a little bit of concern with Royval because he injured his leg pretty badly in that fight. He was on a wheelchair after that fight, if I'm correct.
I think you're right.
I don't know if he tore something. I think he tore his meniscus or something. I mean, he's still young enough to be okay from it, but this does seem like a relatively quick turnaround from it, too. Yeah.
I don't know. Is it?
Earlier this year, February 2024.
Yeah, you're right. It was earlier this year.
Yeah, I'm.
Man, that fight felt so long ago. That was in Mexico City, right?
I think so. In Elevation. Yeah, and Brendan actually got tired, which is crazy because Brendan, Morono got tired.
Yeah,
we did this the last time we talked about these guys too.
We did. Fucking Brendan's, man.
Yeah, but Royval just put a ton of volume on him. I feel like if this line gets super disrespectful because he's sitting at plus 160, if he gets up to like plus 200. I'll throw half a unit at him. I
mean, Raw Dog's always like live, especially I think for a finish. I mean, not for a finish. He is live for a finish, but
I agree. I think if this line gets crazy, I'll play him. But as much as it pains me to say it, because I faded Tatsuro against Alex Hernandez, I think Alex Perez rather.
Yes.
Fuck Alex Hernandez. Alex Perez.
That guy faded himself.
Yeah. Alex Perez. I think if they ran that back and. I think Alex might have some better success stuffing the takedowns. Royval does not have the same wrestling acumen, even though I think their grappling is pretty similar. Yeah, give me Taira. I'm going to say Taira by sub here. I'm with you. I think Taira's going to get this fight done.
And that does it for UFC Vegas 98. But that's not all we got to break down. We got some boxing taking place in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, if I'm not mistaken, headlined by Bivol versus Beterbiev, the fight, probably the best fight of the weekend, the best fight of the year, the most anticipated fight for a bit.
Correct.
Without further ado, I'm going to throw it over to my brother, and you take it wherever you want to go. I don't know if you want to start with the main, start with the co-main, start with whatever the fuck you want to start with, but start with something. I'm
going to start with the Ben Whittaker-Liam Cameron fight. Yeah, I'm going to start with this fight for the night. I think... Ben Whittaker, this is a huge step up in competition. Liam Cameron is a dog, not a live dog in this fight, in my opinion. I think Ben Whittaker's skill is far superior to his. I think he's the better athlete. I think Liam Cameron, tough guy, never been finished. He fought Lyndon off for his last fight. You can dispute that he won that fight. It was a split decision, so could have gone either way, but I think I scored it for Cameron, to be frank. Not mad at people who had Artur winning that fight. Outside of that, he's lost to some guys that are a little questionable. The only way Ben can really lose this fight, in my opinion, is if he does his in-fight antics, where he puts his hands down, kind of dances, hits him, jabs away, steps away. A little, the showmanship. The showmanship. To get him into trouble. But he fought a guy his last fight that he should have packed up because that was his debut fight. And this is his first big test at, since entering professional boxing. I think Ben Whittaker is going to get it done. I think he's going to get it done by decision, especially since Ben is pretty much going to decision with guys who are debuting that don't belong in the ring with him. Liam, much more experience, nicknames Cannonball, walks forward, throws a lot of volume, which is why I tell you what, if this line gets a little out of hand, a little more out of hand than it is, I wouldn't mind just sprinkling Cameron's knockout, because if he memes Ben for being an idiot in the ring, I would not be surprised, because in this sport, you can't really fuck around.
Yeah, you don't play boxing, man.
Yeah, Liam has decent power. Liam has this decent fight IQ, and he's all dog. He's going to be there the whole fight. And if Ben does something stupid and he catches him with like a left hook on the exit, because Ben has his hands down, or with a right hook, or like even with a straight, I wouldn't be surprised if he drops Ben and then Ben pops up. I like the knockdowns in this fight too, actually. But I like it probably more because probably the 1.5 more, just because I feel like Cameron could drop him and make him look stupid, and then Ben's going to have to lock in and then pick him apart. Give me Ben Whitaker by decision.
All right, perfect. I'm going to write down some of those dog plays, some knockdown props. And while I write that down, you can move on to the next fight, my brother.
The next fight I got for you guys is Chris Eubanks Jr. versus Camille Cesar Meta. Oof, I hope I didn't butcher that name. I apologize to you, my guy. He's been in there. Cesar Meta. I'm going to just say his name, Camille, because it's a lot easier.
Oh, it's way easier.
Camille's been in there with the likes of Jaime Munguia and Triple G. He got stopped back-to-back fights by both of them. No shame in that. He fought Gennady later in his career at 38, but Gennady still is one of the biggest punchers in the history of boxing. Jaime, good chin. Jaime just overwhelmed him with volume and got him out of there a round earlier. He's been on a little bit of a tear lately, but not against anyone notable, more along the lines of the Portuguese boxing scene. Portuguese, not Portugal, the Poland. Sorry, I got them mixed up, these countries. My apologies. Not Portugal, the Poland boxing scene. That's been where most of his fights have taken place. I like Eubanks here for a couple of reasons. Even though Camille, very durable, very game, won't go away. Both of those fights, he got stopped. The corner and the referee had to step in. It wasn't him giving up.
Yeah, he might be a little too tough for his own good.
I love the knockdowns in this fight too, because he got knocked down multiple times in the Gennady Golovkin fight. I believe he got dropped in the Jaime Munguia fight. I can't remember correctly. But I do like Chris Eubanks' power in this fight. He does have some decent pop. He has 33 wins, 24 knockouts. I expect him to put it on him. He avenged his loss recently to Liam Smith, who he lost to in the initial contest via knockout. This is a step down in competition, in my opinion. I think Eubanks probably gets him out mid-rounds. I would say 3 to 8. Give me Chris Eubanks Jr. by knockout. That's where I'm at with this. Chris Eubanks has literally only been beaten by Billy Joe Saunders and Liam Smith. He lost to George Groves. That fight was, I don't know. I wasn't too sure particularly how that fight looked. Groves, I feel like Eubanks wasn't locked in for that fight. That's the best way to say it. Since then, he went on a tear, 5 fights, lost to Liam Smith, got his lick back, has really good power against a guy who I think is a little chinny, but will get back up to his feet. Love the knockdowns in this fight. Love Eubanks middle rounds, knockout. Give me Chris Eubanks Jr. by knockout. The next fight in the card, we got Jack Messi going against Jai Apatai. Apatai, a legit prospect coming up. He's already the champion, not really even a prospect, more of a contender at this point. It's arguable that this guy is the best competition he's faced. Jack Massey, I apologize. He lost to the Night Train, which is hilarious, the Night Train in boxing. That fight was actually a little controversial because I feel like Jack, you could make a strong argument he won that fight. It was, the Night Train's name is Richard Rakpori.
Hey, nailed it.
Rakapor, whatever. But it's the Night Train. That's how people know him. He kind of got exposed too because he lost later in his career to Chris Billiam Smith. But he kind of got exposed, in my opinion, in that Massey fight because Massey was able to cut angles, make him miss, and then make him pay off of the angles because the Night Train's a little raw in terms of his talent level, but a big puncher and like looks the part too. 6'5", super athletic, super explosive. I think he just got overwhelmed a little bit in that fight by some of the physicality, but there was also a knockdown in that fight that I thought was kind of nonsense. It looked like he kind of pushed him down. The referee called Massey for the knockdown, which did not happen. Massey has been rocked in fights, but he's tough as they come, hangs around, does what he has to do. He even, in his most recent loss, went up to heavyweight and fought Joseph Parker. And Joseph Parker couldn't get him out of there. And Joseph Parker, that was one of the fights where Joe, I feel, was a lot more aggressive than normal.
That was super recent, right? That was that a Riyadh card as well?
I feel like that was a Triller card. I gotta double check that, but it might have been a Riyadh card or a Triller card.
Yeah.
It was one of those obscure cards where it was just weird. I don't know what it was, but Jad Apatai, 25 wins, 25 by knockout. He went the distance recently with Breedis, who he knocked out in the first fight. Actually, no, that's cap. He went to decision both times for Breeders. I got that mixed up because I actually played Opatai to knock him out the second fight, because usually when you have that much time with someone in the ring, you're able to get him out of there.
You got that familiarity, so.
Correct. This fight, I want to give it a little more time before I make a pick on what I think Opatai is going to do. I do think Opatai is going to win. He's super explosive, a lot better technically. He makes better decisions in there. You see it in the Breeders fight when he knew he wasn't going to get him out of there. He just outboxed him for most of the fight. But I do think that this is a fight where Breeders is of that same ilk with Massey, and Massey's kind of right there. He's either like a little under him or a little over him.
Yeah.
Because Breeders is a little older too. You know, Breeders is 39 years old, and Opatai couldn't get him out of there. But meanwhile, he was able to hurt him in the first fight and still not get him out of there. But that's why it's like, okay, he's older. He's going to get him out of there. Doesn't get him out of there. I feel like this is one of the guys that Opatai could exploit, but may not exploit. I feel like Massey may make this a little more interesting than people are giving it credit for. Am I picking him as a live dog? No, I don't like any of the dogs on this card, to be honest. I think the favorites are the favorites, but I do think this is one of those particular spots, like the Liam Cameron spot, where I feel like Liam Cameron could drop Whitaker. I think Massey could make Opatai look a little silly in some of the boxing exchanges with the way he angles off and he counters off of parrying the right hand. Give me Opatai. I'm gonna say by decision, but don't hold a gun to my head there. I just feel like with the level of competition that he's stepping up into now, and the way Riyadh pairs these fights, they don't give you real easy fights.
Yeah, they're not.
Turkey's not giving these guys easy fights.
So far, so good in terms of not really giving out gimmies.
Correct. I just feel like this is a step up in competition from Breeders. Breeders and Massey, I kind of have them in the same place, and Massey's a little younger and just as tough. But if I change to knockout later in the week, don't be surprised. But as of this podcast, as of this date, I'm gonna go Opatai decision. That's where I'm at with this fight. One of the most anticipated fights of this year, Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. This fight was pushed back a couple of months because Beterbiev had sustained an injury. Bivol took a fight in between.
Was it Beterbiev or Bivol that got the injury? I don't know.
No, it was Beterbiev.
It was Beterbiev?
It was Beterbiev. Yeah, he got the injury, pulled out. Bivol took the fight where I thought he was going to go to decision, knocked the dude out, got his first knockout in about 6 years. I don't think Bivol is getting the knockout in this fight. Beterbiev. So that's kind of a hint of where I'm leaning. I think Bivol is going to win this fight by decision. And the reason I think he's going to win this fight by decision is a couple of reasons. He's got the better footwork. He's fought the better brand of competition, arguably. He's got more of the belts for a reason. Actually, no, is that true?
I'm not sure if he has. I'm not sure what the belt's that. I think he does have more of the belts.
I think he does have more of the belts.
Yeah.
Beterbiev is more of a stalker. He's a plotter, linear fighter, walks up and down. To be honest, it's interesting that, and I give Canelo a lot of credit for fighting Bivol, because I feel like he could have beaten Beterbiev, to be frank, because he has the better footwork, he has the better angles, he knows how to place his punches better. Beterbiev is more of like a marauder. I mean, this dude is all action. If you were going to bet Beterbiev, you have to bet him for the knockout, because all of his fights have literally been decided by knockout. He's won all of his fights by knockout. He has a 100% finish rate. Bivol, in my opinion, is probably one of the pound for pound best pure boxers in this sport. And that's why I'm on the Bivol side here. If you've ever seen him hit pads and you can see how he applies it in the fight, his ability to work the jab while moving his feet simultaneously, as well as place his body shots while moving his feet simultaneously. He's just
one of the most technically
sound guys
in the game.
Yeah, you could argue ever.
Yeah.
Like his ability to manage distance while launching offense is something to behold. I don't know if how much he's going to hurt Beterbiev, but his sharpness will probably sting Beterbiev in a couple of these spots. I have a hard time believing Beterbiev, especially with the inactivity, especially being 40 years old. None of that's in his favor. I feel like he's going to have a hard time cornering Bivol for the shots that he's going to want to throw and land. Give me Bivol by decision here. It hurts me to say that because I love Beterbiev. I love his style. He's a very, very impressive fighter. I just feel like the guy who's holding the belts on the other side is the answer to the problems that Beterbiev presents. With the activity too from Bivol, I expect him to be sharp early in there. I expect him to be active. I expect him to throw more volume as well. With all that said, I think Bivol, I think they got him at minus 135 right now. I'm going to play that sooner than later because I feel like he's going to be able to dominate the space, dominate the foot battle, and I feel like he's going to dominate the jab battle. Beterbiev is kind of a marauder. That's just what he is. You know, don't get me wrong. I'm not taking anything away from him. He's probably one of the biggest and most thudding punching guys I've ever seen, especially from the clinch and up close. His ability to land damage from short ranges is remarkable. And you can see it on his opponent's faces when he hits them. They're like, holy shit. Like, this is different. This is a different power. I think Bivol is going to obviously get hit in this fight. I just have a hard time believing Bivol is going to get hit to the point where he's going to get stopped. Or get hit to the point where he's going to get significantly damaged to the point where he's going to compromise him for the rest of the fight. Give me Bivol by decision here. And just before we go home, just so you guys know and follow us on all of our social media platforms, Takuma Inoue is fighting, I believe, the day after these fights. No, I think they fight that's right. Yes. They fight on a Monday, Tuesday. So Japan, they're doing a Monday card, actually. Almost like a WrestleMania 2-night event. There's like 7 belts on the line. Correct. One is headlined by Inoue. His brother. Takuma Inoue. Takuma. And the other one is headlined by who? Junto Nakatani. Who a lot of people are speculating is the next big fight for Naoya Inoue. That's a super fight that's brewing. Correct. And they're probably going to do it in Japan. I don't know if this is Junto's first fight in Japan. I would have to double check. I don't think it is. But the fact that he's coming all across seas, I feel like that's what they're leading to. I don't know what the line is. I'm assuming if it's a tomato can, am I going to be surprised? No. Nakatani is one of the best fighters in the sport. Inoue is the pound for pound number one, in my opinion. That's a fight that needs to happen. Takuma Inoue, I have to look more into his opponent. Because if there's one thing with Takuma, not the biggest puncher unlike his brother, and not the best chin like his brother. So if this guy that he's fighting is a big puncher or a decent puncher, that might be a play. I'm assuming Takuma might be the favorite because it's Japan and they're going to set up their guys to be their guys. But obviously follow us on all social media platforms and we'll keep you better advised on how we're going to play those fights. But with that said, like, comment, subscribe, follow Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And for everybody enjoying the visual portion of this podcast, don't forget to like, because it really does help the algorithm. Don't forget to subscribe because it is free. Yes, it is. Yeah, it's such a deal that my tongue got twisted. Don't forget to leave a comment because we do want to hear feedback, good and bad. And don't forget to hit that notification bell to stay up to date. And for all of our audio listeners, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast, you already know. Love you guys. Thank you for hanging in there with us. It was a long podcast. There were so many good fights this weekend. Episode 72 in the books. Holla at your boys. Let's go Mets. Fuck you. Whoever else in this playoffs in the NLDS. Fuck Philly. We're coming for that ass. Love you. Holla at you. Bye.